Allegory. The term derives from Greek allegoria, speaking otherwise. As a result, an allegory is a rule in verse and prose with a double meaning, a primary or surface meaning and a secondary or under the surface meaning. It is therefore a story that can be read, understood, and interpreted at two levels, and in some cases, three or four levels. It is thus closely related to the fable and parable. The form may be literary or pictorial. An allegorical writing has no determinate length. The origins of allegory are very ancient and it appears to be a mood of expression. So, natural to the human mind, that is universal. Its fundamental origins are religious. Much myth, for example, is a form of allegory and is an attempt to explain universal fact and forces. The myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, for instance, is a notable example of the allegory of redemption and salvation. In fact, most classical myths are allegorical. There are two types of allegory: historical and political allegory, in which the characters and the action represent or allegorize historical personages and events. So, in Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel, 1681, King David represents Charles II, Absalom represents natural, so the Duke of Monmouth and biblical plot allegorizes a political crisis in contemporary England. Number two, the allegory of idea, in which the characters represent abstract concepts and the plot serves to communicate a doctrine or thesis. The central device in the typical allegory of ideas is the personification of abstract entities, such as virtues, vices, state of mind, and types of character. In more explicit allegories, such references is specified by the character's name. Thus, Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress allegorizes the doctrines of Christian salvation by telling how Christian, worried by evangelists, flees the city of destruction and makes his way laboriously, encounters such characters as faithful, hopeful, and the giant despair, and passes through places like the valley of the shadow, and Vanity Fair. Allegory is a strategy which may be employed in any literary form or genre. The Pilgrim's Progress is a moral and religious in a prose narrative. Spenser's Fairy Queen fuses moral, religious, historical, and political allegory in a verse romance. The third book of Swift's Gulliver's Travels, The Voyage of Laputa and Lagoda, is an allegorical satire directed primarily against philosophical and scientific pedantry. William Collins's Ode on the Political Character is a formal lyrical poem which allegorizes a topic in literary criticism: the nature, dignity, and power of the poet's creative imagination.